You guys ready to keep this show rolling? You ready to meet your next comic? Your next comedian has performed at Gotham Comedy Club in New York City. He has been seen on cable channel RLTV, and he has even contributed to the Huffington Post. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jeff Hyson.
Thank you, Jeremy. Hey, good evening, everybody. Thank you. It's nice we have a DJ here. I had a show recently, and there was a DJ. And the DJ asked me what song I wanted to hear while I walked on stage. And I said, Locked Out of Heaven by Bruno Mars. Because that's my jam. And he played Tiny Dancer by Elton John. Not exactly the same. I asked him why. He said, you're old. I thought it was more appropriate. It's tough for a guy to get older because we still look at women the same way we always have, but women look at us differently. We become distinguished. Yeah, I know how a girl in her 20s distinguishes me from other guys. She's distinguishing me from someone she'd have sex with. People treat you differently when you get older. Last winter, I looked outside and my neighbor Brian was shoveling my driveway. Now that's great because I didn't want to do it. But then I realized why he was there. It's because he thinks I'm the old guy on the block. And if the old guy shovels, well then I just might keel over and that would affect his property value. But I got mad. I could still do it, and I went outside and I told him on the first day of spring. So nice to be with you today. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I got in an elevator recently. Thank you. And a guy gets in and starts talking about politics in an elevator. You can't do that. That's a breach of elevator etiquette. You see, I believe there's certain rules you have to follow before you take an elevator ride. If you have a conversation, it cannot last longer than the time it takes to travel 2 floors. It's just not fair to the other passengers. One day I got in on the first floor with 2 women. I pressed 3, they pressed 5. One of them turns to the other and says, so how was your date? And the other one said, it was so romantic. We had dinner, then we went back to his place, and then we... And they turned to look at me as the door opened on my floor. But I'm not going anywhere. I want to know what happens. So one of them asks, isn't this your floor? And I said, yes, but that was before I knew you had a date. Please keep talking. I'll just stand in the corner. Won't be creepy at all. Oh, and as for that guy that started talking about politics, I got so mad, I pressed all the buttons and told him about my colonoscopy. See how he likes that. If you're looking for a comedian that curses on stage, I don't do that. It's not that I'm against cursing, it's just that no one wants to hear their father curse. So I have a reputation as a clean comic, and that's why I get asked to do some interesting shows. I recently performed at a Lutheran nursing home. Don't judge me, I got paid for that show. Another night, I was asked to open for a gospel comic. I didn't know there was such a thing. But before the show began, the promoter asked all of us to gather together, hold hands, and pray for a good show. I thought that was an interesting thing to pray for, but that's fine. Except another comic said to me, does that offend you as a Jew? And I said, no, but I've heard your act. You should have been praying for better material. I have a day job. Some of you are going, good, you need one. Thanks a lot. I'm a lawyer. Hold your applause for lawyers. But I don't like talking about being a lawyer when I'm on stage. And I think that's because we don't know each other yet. And when people are introduced to a comedian, they say nice things. Like, tell me a joke. Say something funny. That doesn't happen with lawyers. Nobody meets a lawyer and says, tell me a statute. Say something in Latin. And sometimes I get my jobs confused. One day I was in court and the opposing counsel said, I object. But I forgot where I was and I thought he was a heckler. So I turned to him and said, I object to your face. The judge was not amused. I miss football season already because I love fantasy football. Does anybody here play fantasy football? I love fantasy football, and everybody's always looking for fantasy football advice. So let me give you some. Nobody cares about your fantasy football team. I know one guy who talked about it so much at home, his wife actually said it would be better if he was having an affair. Because he wouldn't talk about that. But to me, there's nothing like what's going on right now, March Madness. Because everybody gets involved. Everyone fills out a bracket, even if they know nothing about college basketball. Like my father. We have a family pool. And one year there was a game between North Carolina State and Temple University. I didn't know who to pick. So I studied the rankings, the seedings, even the RPI, and I picked North Carolina State. My father picked Temple, because we're Jewish. I mean, you know who got it right. I appreciate that response, Middletown, because I told that joke once in Centerville, Virginia. And if you don't know where Centerville is, you find the NRA headquarters and keep going south for 10 miles. I said, because we're Jewish. And the audience looked at me and yelled, get him! And I'll leave you with this. I've been married a long time. My wife and I just celebrated our 29th wedding anniversary. Oh, thank you. Thank you for your pity applause. Although the young people are doing math, they're figuring out how much younger they are than I've been married. That's not nice. On the day of our anniversary, I went to her Facebook page and I wrote, happy anniversary to my wonderful wife. This counts as a card. Yeah, but she didn't mind. We were married for so long, we just get each other whenever cards are on sale. You don't know how many times we celebrated Kwanzaa. I went to Victoria's Secret to buy something sexy for my wife. And the saleswoman asked, what size is she? And I said, I don't know, this big? And the saleswoman said, sorry, you didn't have to touch me. I've been married for so long, I've forgotten what sex is like when you're single. There's a single guy at work. He said to me, I can't wait to go home. My girl's going to be there and we're going to have sex tonight. And I said, but it's Tuesday. You'll see. And my wife said, I need a new purse. And I said, I only have one wallet. I don't see why you need to have more than one purse. And she said, I don't see why we need to have sex more than once a week. I hadn't thought about it that way. So I bought her 7 purses. Thank you, Middletown. My name is Jeff Heisen. Thank you so much.